Sparkmaster Neon, and I'm here to welcome you to Diluc's character trailer. Now, Diluc is the master of the Dawn Winery. And the Dawn Winery is home to the finest wines in all of Mondstadt. Come, let's take a walk. While we're waiting, I just want to take this moment to say that Diluc is my favorite character. I live my life in the tale of a phoenix tale, always rising above. Whenever I'm knocked down, no matter what, I will rise again. And Diluc embodies that belief. No matter how far you fall, he rises back up. In fact, that's part of the reason he left the Knights of Favonius, where they let his father fall, and they made him take the blame for it. His father, that is. And so Diluc left it. The hypocrisy of the knights he couldn't live with. And I respect him so much for that choice. Anyway, welcome to his Dawn Winery, where he's in all of Mondstadt. Well, after all, I don't see them anywhere else. But anyway, time to get to business. Diluc is a high attack DPS with the pyro element. And I must say, I haven't found a single Claymore character that can match his strength. Now, as far as character builds go, I personally recommend the affordable prototype Animus, as the game gives it free, and my god, does it have a great effect. On hit, normal or charged attacks have a 50% chance to deal an additional 300% attack damage to enemies with a small AoE. Now, this can only occur once every 15 seconds, but this did increase your DPS. And now, for a higher budget player, one might recommend the Wolf's Gravestone, because you can't go wrong with the best Claymore in the game. Now, as far as artifacts go, I personally build Diluc with the Crimson Witch set, which gives him and the 2-piece set, it gives him a pyro damage bonus of 15%, and a 4-piece set increases overloaded and burning damage by 40%. This also increases vaporize and melt damage by 15%, and using an elemental skill increases the 2-piece set effects by 50% for 10 seconds at a max of 3 stacks. Now with Diluc, this is a massive burst of DPS, and while I am still grinding these artifacts, I heavily recommend to spec high into crit damage, crit rate, and attack, so that way Diluc can burn his enemies to cinders. Now, as far as constellations go, Diluc's constellations are quite offensive, as he is a main DPS after all. His first constellation allows him to deal 15% more damage to enemies whose HP is above 50%. His second constellation, when Diluc takes damage, his attack increases by 10% and his attack speed increases by 5%. Lasts for 10 seconds. This effect stacks up to 3 times and can only occur once every 1.5 seconds. His third constellation increases the level of Searing Onslaught by 13. His fourth constellation causes, when casting Searing Onslaught in sequence, greatly to increase its damage dealt. Within 2 seconds of using Searing Onslaught, casting the next Searing Onslaught in the combo deals 40% additional damage. This effect lasts for 2 seconds. His fifth constellation merely raises Dawn's level by 3. His sixth constellation, after casting Searing Onslaught, the next 2 normal attacks within the next 6 seconds will have their damage and attack speed increased by 30%. Additionally, Searing Onslaught will not interrupt the normal attack combo. Now we come to his talents. Now before we get to his fighting moves, I will go to his passive talents. His first passive talent, achieved at Ascension 1, causes Diluc's charged attack stamina cost to be decreased by 50%, and its duration is increased by 3 seconds, allowing you to chain charged attacks for not only less stamina cost, but for longer duration, and thus more DPS. His Ascension 4 talent allows the Pyro enchantment provided by Dawn to last for 4 seconds longer. Additionally, Diluc gains 20% pyro damage bonus during the duration of this effect. And his final passive talent refunds 15% of the ores used when crafting Claymore-type weapons. Now we get to his fighting skills. His normal attack is a 4-hit combo of scaling damage at 130% for the first hit, 127% for the second hit, 144% for the third hit, 195% for the final and fourth hit. Now his charged attack damage does 100% for each hit in succession, and I will show these off here now. His combo consists of a first, third, and a fourth hit, and his charged attack is a chain of relentless attacks that finish up with a cleave. Now we get to his second skill, which is the Searing Onslaught, which is a 3-hit pyro combo. The first hit hits for 132%, the second hit for 137%, and the third hit 180% at level 6. And its cooldown is 10 seconds. Now keep in mind, as you level these talents, they will increase in power. And this is what it looks like. Beautiful, I know. And on top of that, you can weave it into your combos. So if you do 1, you can then attack a couple times, and then 2, attack a couple more times, and then 3 as the finisher, and then you can finish with a normal combo and dash cancel out of it for maximum DPS. And his final talent is Dawn. Dawn of the Phoenix. Now, let me find some enemies here so I can demonstrate. There should be one standing guard right over here, so I can throw a phoenix at him after launching my R2 attack. My elemental skill. Or we can focus on these perfect, a pack of wild cryo slimes, weak to pyro in every regard. As you can see, we now have his phoenix, and he launches a phoenix with great damage. And then he gets a pyro attack bonus added onto his basic attacks, which he can then chain in rapid succession to decimate his foes. And last but not least, I will return to the homestead so that I might show you guys his story. For it is a tragic one. Okay. As the city of ballads and wines, Mondstadt's alcohol industry is renowned all over Teyvat. Its owner of the Dawn winery, Diluc, is essentially in charge of half the industry. This means he has a huge stream of revenue and an entire network of information, in the form of tavern patrons' gossip right at his fingertips. In a way, he is the uncrowned king of Mondstadt. His first character story. The scent of wine always lingers in the air in Mondstadt. If one were to follow the scent to its source, one would invariably arrive at Diluc's Dawn winery. A wooden plaque proudly announces the winery's name, and beneath it is written the winery's motto, "Shine True." Most interpret this to mean that the wines are brewed for consistency of taste, with time-honored techniques, and the same healthy dose of sunny optimism that the dawn brings. Meanwhile, the more pragmatic Knights of Favonius are reminded of the long history of mutual support between the winery and the city. The winery holds festivities from time to time. These events are routinely attended by enthusiastic fathers eager to introduce their wonderful daughters to the young and single winery master. This is all highly entertaining to the other guests, who watch on and comment mockingly, We'd much rather Master Diluc stays married to the winery, given how good this wine is. Diluc deals impeccably with all situations, no matter who or what comes his way. Diluc is a fine young gentleman in every conceivable respect. His second character story. Diluc avoids talking about the past. If only Diluc were still a member of the Knights. After a few drinks, senior Knights will say words to this effect with a sigh. They refer to events from a long time ago, back when Diluc's father, Master Crapus, was still the owner of the winery. Master Crapus's wish was for his son to become the most esteemed knight of all and safeguard Mondstadt, the city of freedom. As per his father's wishes, Diluc trained rigorously to make himself worthy of the Ragnavinder name. Sure enough, he passed the Knights of Favonius' trials, swore the oath of protection to Mondstadt, and entered their ranks. Before long, he received an early promotion which saw him become the youngest ever cavalry captain. Over the course of his missions and patrols, the denizens of Mondstadt gradually came to know the young and passionate cavalry captain. No matter what the missions demanded from him, he always maintained his composure and his passion. No matter how big the challenge before him, his boundless courage always led him to the front line. The praise he received from his comrades and citizens spurred him on, but the words of praise he valued most of all were, "Good job now, that's my son." His father's words fueled the fire inside his heart and served as his greatest motivation. His faith was an unquenchable fire that burned strong and bright inside him. Diluc was so young back then. Now his third character story. Sometimes life can change in an instant. The day that Crapus spoke these words to Diluc would turn out to be the latter's last as a Knight of Favonius, for on that day a horrific monster attacked the transport fleet he and his father were traveling with. There was no time for Diluc to send for help. The monster was stronger than any foe the young cavalry captain had ever encountered, and overpowered him. Diluc could never have anticipated the way this battle would end. His father, who had been denied admittance to the knights and who was shunned by the gods, defeated by the monster with an unknown evil power, before that same power backfired, mortally wounding Crapus himself. Crapus died shortly after in his son's arms with a heavy heart. Diluc returned to the Knights' headquarters only to receive an unthinkable order from Inspector Eroc: conceal the truth. Eroc insisted that the incident must be portrayed as an unfortunate accident in order to maintain the reputation of the Knights of Favonius in the eyes of the public. Such was the sheer outrageousness of this request that Diluc did not think it was even worth trying to argue. Diluc's father had once said to him that the world would never turn its back on the faithful, but now the Knights of Favonius trampled on his faith like it was nothing. He couldn't help but wonder, what was his father's view on faith in his final moments? Diluc resigned from the Knights that day and left everything behind, including his vision. He swore to avenge his father's death and to find the source of that occult power which had caused his father's demise. And now for character story 4. After Diluc resigned and discarded his vision, he handed the running of the Dawn Winery over to the head housemaid and left Mondstadt altogether. Diluc traveled all across the 7 nations of Tavad in search of the truth. All clues pointed towards a behemoth of an organization, the Fatui. He learned that they made counterfeit visions in secret, calling them delusions. A delusion could amplify the power of its bearer to the extreme, but also carry the risk of backfiring. That was what had caused his father's death. Was it possible that his father could have obtained such a sacrilegious item in order to do good? Diluc knew he may never know the full truth, but that could never stop him from pursuing it. Like an eagle scouring the wilderness, he set off in his hunt for the truth. Determination burned like fire in his heart. Unfathomable enigmas and unending battles could not sway him from his course. He pressed on relentlessly, scarred but undeterred, like a fiery tornado burning through the dense fog of mystery. The Fatui's rulers, the Harbingers, monitored Diluc's progress from the shadows. The prowess with which he had laid waste to numerous Fatui strongholds caught their attention and forced them to take action. Diluc narrowly escaped death at the hands of the Harbingers thanks to a third-party observer from the north, who was part of a vast underground intelligence network. The observer claimed to have been watching Diluc for some time and approved of his methods. After his close encounter with death, Diluc took a long, hard look at his path and the anger he had harbored for so long. Acknowledging his shortcomings, he decided to join the underground intelligence network. Just like when he first joined the Knights of Favonius, Diluc committed himself fully to his work. His talents and skills saw him rise steadily through the ranks into the upper echelons of the network. The network was made up of volunteers, and many of its members had willingly given up their prior positions and reputations to join. Some had even abandoned their names. Could working with these new comrades finally restore the faith he once clung to? The faith that had been all but destroyed in the events surrounding his father's death? We may not know. Character Story 5. Shine true. The background to this motto is hotly contested, but to Diluc it has one simple, clear meaning. Evil cannot go unpunished. Never settle for mediocrity. Never forget that the dawn will one day come. Diluc's solitary sojourn lasted for 3 years. 4 years on, Diluc had returned to Mondstadt and taken over as head of the family winery, now a young man. In the space of these 4 years, Erock had been purged from the Knights of Favonius after being shown to be a traitor, while Grandmaster Varka had left on an expedition, leaving Master Jean to assume the role of acting Grandmaster. The return of the Dawn Winery's master should have been a momentous occasion for Mondstadt, but strangely, it went completely unnoticed. The reason? Mondstadt's citizens were far too busy pondering the mysterious case of an unknown guardian of Mondstadt. All that was known about the anonymous guardian was that the smell of burning would follow in his wake, and that a flash of red flames would reveal his silhouette for but a moment in the darkness of the night, for he disappeared in an instant. The bodies of the monsters that had plagued Mondstadt for an age now lay dead in the wilderness. Mondstadt's most wanted thieves suddenly appeared bound and gagged, hanging from their feet in the statue plaza. All the Knights of Favonius were dispatched to reckon, once and for all, with the Abyss Mage behind countless crimes in the city, but they arrived only to discover that he had been long since killed. Aided by wine-fueled conversations, word of the mysterious guardian spread swiftly, and he became to be known as the Dark Knight Hero. In public, Diluc appeared to hold his hero in contempt, his face curling up in disgust every time the name was uttered. Elzer of the Mondstadt Wine Guild was one of the select few who was in the know, and once queried Diluc about this. Was his disapproval of the Dark Knight Hero just an act intended to throw the knights off his trail and protect his anonymity? But Diluc simply frowned once more and curtly replied, "It's just a stupid name." Now he learned of Dawn Winery's apple cider. Diluc may hold the whole wine industry in the palm of his hand, but he himself was not fond of wine. At Diluc's request, the Dawn Winery developed several alcohol-free beverages, a decision which was met with resounding approval from those in Mondstadt who could not drink alcohol but still wanted to partake in the drinking culture. One of those alcohol-free beverages is Mondstadt's apple cider vinegar, the success of which is on par with dandelion wine in terms of monthly sales volumes. Some think that Diluc must have such high standards when it comes to wine, and he is never seen drinking the mediocre quality beverages that are available to the public. Others think that drinking wine must surely remind him of his father, and that is why he does not touch it. When pressed about his drinking habits, he responds by saying that alcohol clouds his thoughts and consuming it would impact his day-to-day work. But the thing that people don't understand is, what kind of day-to-day work does a winery master do if it requires him to never touch a drop of alcohol? And now to Diluc's vision. Crapus had 2 regrets in life. One was never becoming a knight, and the other was never obtaining a vision. For this reason, in the moment that Diluc received his vision, he took it as a recognition by the gods of his and his father's shared ambition. Finally, he could make his father proud. Just a few years later, his father died on a dark and gloomy day. The hopes and dreams that burned bright in Diluc's vision were extinguished in the torrential rain that fell on that night. No matter how upright and good-hearted a person may be, death will still come to them without warning. Is this where the tale of justice ends, just like that? It seemed to him that his vision and his status as a knight were both equally ineffectual at enabling him to protect the things he treasured most. It was time to discard them both, he decided. While he recognized his own powerlessness, his vision became but a burden, of no greater service than a delusion. Empty titles were of no interest to him. He sought after ardent flames that would burn brighter than any other, and an unshakable resolve. Only a firm resolve can drive the truth-seeker forward, and only ardent flames can vanquish the ice that freezes the hand of justice. On that day that Diluc returned to Mondstadt, he took up his vision once more. The events of his years away had purged him of his childish immaturity. Each night from the shadows he fought for Mondstadt. He did not discuss the past, but he did not deny the past either. To the lost, perhaps a vision is a beacon of light given by the gods to help them find the path forward. But to those with conviction, a vision is simply an extension of their strength, a medium for channeling their willpower, a tribute to the experiences that have shaped them, and a testament to the story of their life so far. There's Diluc's story, and now we move on to his voiceovers.
Diluc of Mondstadt. Not interested in idle chit-chat. If you have things you want to get done, let me know. No need for small talk. All that matters is that you were safe last night. Would you like to try the secret menu? Night has fallen. Alright, see you next time. I'll make sure you leave safely. Guess we can rest a bit. You should really bring the Knights of Favonius with you next time. I still have a lot to do at the guild. How about you take a rest while I go back? I don't need an umbrella, but you can use one if you need. Rain, if only you could cleanse the corrupt souls of this world. Listen, as long as you stick to your own path, it doesn't matter what Mother Nature throws at you. Some use the wind's whistling to drown out the sound of their crimes. The legend of the Dark Knight hero. An interesting rumor. Just say the word if you need anything. For reimbursements, ask Elzer. You have already proven your determination. Well then, it is now time for you to witness my resolve. Visions are a light in the sea of darkness that surrounds those who have lost their way. But for those who have faith, they are little more than badges of conviction. Occasionally I'll work the bar at Angel's Share. The tavern is known for being the center of information in Mondstadt. What? Why do you ask? It's a nightingale, quietly watching its prey from the darkness, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Flawless. Kaya? You can only trust half of what he says, at best. I believe Lisa has the potential to become the most reliable of the knights, if she's willing. Trifling matters can become Jean's greatest enemy. Her unparalleled sense of responsibility is the sole reason why she still hasn't found her true calling. The land of Mondstadt, by the Animo Archon's grace, is bountiful. I see no need for the harvest forecasts of astrologers. Diona's attitude towards me is, how should I put it, rather rigid. I've yet to find the opportunity to speak with her properly. I'm not sure if it's an issue with my family line or... Oh? It's not? She simply despises alcohol? Huh. I never thought I'd come across another bartender like myself in Mondstadt. Grandmaster Varka. While I understand his disposition, I can make no sense of his actions. I've said too much already. I've long since left the Knights of Favonius. Forget I said anything. You have business to attend to? Huh? Knights of Favonius? I have nothing to say about them. We have different views, is all. It's been a long while since I played chess with anyone but my butler. I just so happen to have a moment. Care to play around? Checkmate. Still, it's been a while since someone tested me this much. Not bad. Be it chess or combat, you always seem to surprise me. Working with you is quite the novelty. So, I look forward to continuing to work with you, partner. The artwork in the manor? It's not mine. It's a collection that belonged to my late father. The darkness that seethes with evil, full of demons that must be vanquished, will take more than a blade to be torn asunder. You want to know what's in my glass? It's grape juice. My drink of choice. I don't like alcohol. It's just... I don't like how it feels in my mouth. Power is necessary if we are to meet our objectives. What lies in wait for us? I rarely stop to think about it. No matter what dares to stand in my way, I must press forward. I've become stronger. Though it is still not enough, I will always face the darkness. For dawn to come, there must be those who dare to pierce the darkness with their light.
And that has been Diluc. I'm Sparkmaster Neon, and thank you for joining me in my first ever character guide.